Hi guys, today we're going to start with analytical geometry. Now you'll see in the end this is the easiest part of all maths because there's no complicated formulae, there's no complicated problems. It's very basic as long as you understand the terminology and what each word means and where you need to apply it. But as we go along, you'll see each lesson is just about one piece of terminology which you'll quickly get to know, and then it's really very easy. So we're going to start off with the distance formula. Now, after this whole unit, you'll be able to do lots of things. I'm not going to go through it. You can go through it on your own time, but there's lots of things that we're going to learn. Each lesson, only one, which we're going to start off with this lesson. Lesson is now the direction and the length of a line. So let's just see what does it mean. Firstly, a point on a Cartesian plane. Now, if you go anywhere on a Cartesian plane, you can describe that point by an x and a y value, an ordered pair. And we say ordered pair because x comes before y in the alphabet. So you must make very sure that you never swap around those two. So it's a pair of numbers. It's a pair of numbers. But the most important thing, it's an ordered pair. X comes before y in the alphabet. So that's why when you put it in a bracket and you put the coordinate down, it's always xy. Then distance is the measure of a length between 2 points. So if I have now my points and I connect them, how do I find out the length of that piece of line between the 2 points? Good. So the introduction is just what we said now. We're going to do the distance formula. It's the distance between 2 points, so it's the length of a line segment. There's just another way of describing it. It's the length of a line segment. Now, before we start with the proper lesson, if you can recall back in grade 8 and even maybe previous than that, you can remember we did the Pythagoras theorem, which I in previous lessons also said is one of the most important theorems because you can do many things with that theorem of Pythagoras. So there you already know if I have a right angle triangle, I can just have two of the sides available and I will be able to work out the third side. Now, luckily, when we get now to this distance formula, you'll see that we're going to use this theorem of Pythagoras, which you already know. So it's actually nothing new. Theorem of Pythagoras, if I have that point A and that point B, and I want the length of that, I can take this distance of the x's square, and I can take that distance of the y's square, and that is my Pythagoras theorem. So there it's written out neatly so that you can see there's your normal Pythagoras theorem there. But now I do not want AB square. I just want AB because I only want the length. So therefore, I'm going to square root the right-hand side. Just remember something very important. If there's a plus or minus underneath the square root, you may not square root each one separately and think you're going to give two answers. It's one unit. That line there, it means square root, but it also means a bracket. And you know by now that in a bracket, you treat the whole thing as a unit. You don't work with each piece separately. But now where do I find this length of x? I take my x2 minus x1. My x2 minus x1. So there I can see it's actually 4 units because it's 2 minus 2, which is 4 units. I can just read it off from my sketch. But remember I said we're not going to draw these sketches like this one very neatly to scale because we don't have time to do that. The sketch is just a little rough thingy for you to see what am I busy doing. What are they asking? What are they giving? Good. The same with the y. If I take that distance there, it is y2 minus y1. So instead of just writing your normal Pythagoras, as you know there, you're going to just now replace AC with x2 minus x1, and you're going to replace BC with y2 minus y1. If they do not give you the lengths in the beginning, which they won't, because they're only going to ask you to find the length of that line AB. Good. Now, as always in mathematics, you need steps. You need a method. Once you know this method, you can do any question, even if I give you a matric problem. Now, in order to get to know the method and the steps, you need to sit and do problems, repeating in your mind the steps one after the other. So let's look at the sketch. Draw a sketch if it's not given. But I'm going to write here, only a rough sketch. You do not spend time on that sketch. As I say, we're not giving you marks for that. It just helps you with the question. So it's very important in all analytical that you draw a sketch first. Good. Then you write down the formula. Now, I'm going to give you a hint now. Whenever you read a word in a problem, which you know a formula for somewhere in the back of your mind. You immediately write down that formula. Because the minute you've written down something, you've got to start. Because many times people look at the question and they say, I do not know where to start. So the minute you've written down a formula, you know, oh, what is the formula there for? I need to substitute that formula. So I need to take all the letters in the formula and I need to replace it with figures, values. Good. Best way to do maths is to do an example. There's now just a sum given, no sketch. They've given you 2 points. So very roughly, -2 and -5, maybe it's there somewhere. -2, -5. Maybe the t is there, 7 and -2. Can you see I'm not measuring? I'm not ticking off anything. I just know approximately there's my plus axis, there's my minus axis. And if I now connect those 2 points, they want that distance st. And because I read the word distance, I'm going to write down the distance formula immediately. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Do not forget the squares, a very common mistake, pupils forget the squares. Now, the minute you've got that written down, you can start substituting. Now, a good idea and also a good hint is to always number your x1 or y1 coordinate and your x2, y2 coordinate. It doesn't matter which one you make which, as long as you know when you start substituting. So let's start the substituting. Empty brackets. Remember, when you substitute, it's always good to do it in an empty bracket. And you'll see just now why. Because if I substitute minus values and I do not put it in an empty bracket, and there's anything in the front of it, it's got an influence on it. Positive values, luckily you get away with that. It doesn't have any influence. But for a minus value, and there's maybe another minus value, it's going to change my answer. And that's why it's very important. You should remember it in any case, in any piece of maths. If you substitute a letter with a figure, you do it in an empty bracket. So let's go and check. x2 was 7. x1 minus 2. y2 was minus 2. y1 was minus 5. Now, rather don't skip steps. Make sure that you've got 7 plus 2 is 9 squared. Minus 2 plus 5. Remember, that becomes a plus 5 minus 2 is 3 squared. And that gives me 81 plus 9, which gives me 90. Now, if you grab your calculator and you click the square root of 90, most calculators give you a square root answer, 3 square root 10. But if I tell you now this line is 3 square root 10 long, you will not know how long the line is. So we press that ST button, and that gives us 9,5. Now, as you can recall, previously we said if we work out figures, we normally round off to 2 decimals. But you must always look at the practicality of this situation. In this case, this is a piece of line. If you tell me it's 9.53 centimeters or units long, it's not going to really make a big idea in your head of what is 9.53. If I rather round it off to just 1 decimal and I say 9.5, I know it's 9.5. And because they didn't give me centimeters or something, I just write units. And my last step always says, write down the answer in proper words. So I will just say the distance. I can write here the distance or the length, but the distance of ST, and there I give my formal answer. Good. So you see that it's very important to do a sketch. I'm just going to take this off because remember what we always do. You go and redo this on a clean sheet of paper without looking at the answer at all. The minute you see the answer, the idea is in your head and then you haven't thought of it yourself. You need to go through those steps all on your own. After you've done it on your own, you see that we've written it out nicely for you and the whole answer is there, so you can just go and check afterwards. Good. Now, example 2 is very much the same. The sketch is already drawn for you in this case, so they didn't give you the coordinates, they just gave you the sketch. So you find the coordinates on the sketch. Just remember to, before you even start, to go and pick which one is going to be your x1, y1, which one is going to be your x2, y2. So I'm going to give you time to do this all on your own. And after you've done it, you can check the answer and you will see if you're right or wrong because it's very much the same as the previous one. Good. We're going to look at example 3 because in this case, we reversed the question. Instead of just asking you the length of the line, we gave you the length of the line. So that makes it a little bit different. But luckily, you've learned now. The minute I read this word, which says distance, I know, oops, distance. Okay, they talk about AB. I need to write down my distance formula. I haven't even read my question yet. I just know if I read the word distance, I'm going to quickly write the formula. Now I'm going to read the question, the rest of the question. The distance between point A and B is that. Determine the missing coordinate at point B. There. I need to determine that missing coordinate there. So it's now a reverse question, but it doesn't make it more difficult. You do have your formula written down. All you do now, you go and do the substitution. So you're going to do empty brackets all over, but because they gave you AB, you're just going to fill it in here. 3.6056. And I do not put a bracket around that part because it's all on its own. There's nothing that can have an influence on it. So in this case, I can save the bracket and I can just write it down. On the right-hand side, though, it's different. So I'm going to make empty brackets, square. You see all the little brackets inside the big bracket, square. And now I'm going to start filling in, but I haven't numbered my coordinates yet. So because there's an unknown x there, I prefer to make this my x2 and y2. And then that one should be my x1 and y1. So if I now substitute, it is x minus 1. That y2 was 0.5 minus 3.5. Good. And now if you look at your whole formula, you'll see there's one unknown, the little x. Now, actually, if there's something underneath a square root, which you need to get all alone on its own, you need to somehow get rid of that square root sign. I actually prefer to do it as quickly as possible, because later on we may forget to do it one side or the other side. Remember, whatever we do on one side, do the same on the other side. So I actually prefer to put a big bracket there and square the whole thing, and put a big bracket there and square the whole thing. You may only square once on each side of an equal sign. And because I've got one nice big square root sign, I can just take the whole square root sign and square it. Why would I want to do that? Because a square root sign and a square cancel out one another. And this one, you can go and check on your calculator. It gives me the answer 13. It gives me 13.000 something. And then you only use the rounded off 113. This square root sign and that square cancels out one another. So you've got here left x plus 1 square plus minus 3 square. Good. Now you see that there's an x with a square on the outside. Remember, if there's a binomial with a plus or minus in between, you cannot just square each one separately and say the answer is x squared plus 1. So what do? We leave the 13 there. You say x times x is x squared. I hope you remember this method. Plus x times plus 1 is plus 1x. But to get the middle term, we always have to double it. So it's not plus 1x, but it is plus 2x. And then plus 1 times plus 1 gives me plus 1. 3 times 3 is 9. And now because I see an x squared in my sum, I know there's only one way to do this. Well, not only one. There's different methods, but there's only one reasoning in my mind. I need a 0 on the one side of the equal sign. If I've got a 0 on the one side of the equal sign, I can factorize the other side. I cannot do that if there's not a 0. So I'm going to make this side a 0 because I like this positive x squared. I'm going to leave it just where it is. And I'm going to say 9 plus 1 is 10, minus 13 is minus 3. And there's your old-fashioned trinomial that you learned long ago. So I hope you can remember how to do a trinomial. Just remember the 0 on the left-hand side. You may not leave it out. It must be there all the time till the very end. So I'm going to make my two brackets. I'm going to say x times x. And because there's a minus at the end, minus 3, I know I need a plus and a minus value. But which one? Only 1 times 3 is 3. But where am I going to put the plus and where will I put the minus? Let's check here. I want a plus 2 in the middle. So the plus value must be the biggest one and the minus value the smaller one. And now I've got my two answers. X is equal to minus 3 or x is equal to 1. Now normally you'll just leave your answer like that. But because you've got a sketch, you're going to go and check your sketch. That's the reason why we draw a sketch as well. To help us to do the problem and in the end to go and check our answer. If you look at this x there, they've drawn it very nicely to scale. So there you could actually read it off one, but we will not do that in an exam. In an exam, you'll have to find it on your own. So now I know, okay, so that is actually the answer. But what about this one now? It's also an answer for the sum, but for this specific sketch of mine, it's not applicable. So you do not draw a line through it because it is -3. It's just not applicable for this specific sketch we've got in front of us. And now, what did they ask? They asked me to determine the missing coordinate. So now you can just write down the final answer. Remember, your final step is always to write down your answer properly. So the final point B will be 1 and 0.5. Good. I'm taking off this answer because remember, you go and do it now all on your own. Even those, you're going to give your own name, x1, y1, and y2, and x2, so that you can go through those 3 steps on your own. After you've done it, you know that we always have the answer. But I'm just going to quickly go back. Remember what I also said. You always have more than one method to do a problem. Now, I did mine. When I saw that xc and a square on the outside, I multiplied it all out because I knew in the end I'm going to get an x squared equation, which is normally a trinomial. And by this time, all of us can solve trinomials. There is another method, which I'm going to show you now quickly. I do not prefer the other method at all, for one silly reason, and I'll show you when we get there. Everything was the same up to there. So up to there, let's just get there. Up to there is exactly the same as I did previously. The only difference now, we did now take the x plus 1 square separately, and we took the 13 and the 9 to one side, and that gave us 4. Now we've got a square thing on the one side of the equal sign and a square thing on the other side. But I want to get rid of that square. So in this case, we're not multiplying out the bracket. Remember how we get rid of a square? We square root both sides. But if you do that and you forget to put this plus or minus in the front, you will lose exactly half of your marks, which you cannot afford and you do not want to. And mostly people do, I do as well, forget to put that plus or minus in front. That's why I do not prefer this method, but I need to show you because some people may relate to this one better and they will think I will remember the plus or minus and they will do it and it will also be easy. There's your two answers, exactly the same, but this one is not applicable for this specific sketch, and there's your answer done in a totally different manner. Good. Now, this problem here is a bit difficult to draw. Let's just see why. I'm going to just do a very rough. You see, I'm not measuring anything. 6 and -2, say it's maybe there. C is 6 and -2. Now, D is x and 2. So they only give you the y value. They don't give you the x value. So I haven't got a clue where to draw it, except I know 2 maybe is somewhere there. That is where y is 2. So somewhere there, I'm just going to guess. Somewhere there, my point is going to lie. D, some x, I do not know which one, and y is 2. Can you see why I say you don't spend time, you don't waste time? They want the distance between CD. Or we're going to check now what they want, but there's the distance CD because I read. What did I read here? The following coordinates are given, C and D, with the length. So now they don't use the word distance, they use the word length. Exactly the same thing. If I read the word length, I'm going to write down my formula now. So in this case, they give you the length. CD is 5. But before I even look at that, I write down my formula. CD is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Please write this formula down at every problem you are practicing. Don't think I've written it down once, I can just use it. I'm just going to use it all the time. The more you write down the formula with each specific sum, the more it gets instilled in your mind and you'll be able to do it without even thinking. Good. Let's see what I can substitute. They gave me CD as 5 units, so I'm just going to fill it in there. CD as 5 units. I'm going to do all my empty bracket things. Empty brackets, square, plus empty brackets, square. And now I'm just going to, I prefer to make my unknown coordinate, my x2 and y2. You'll see just now why. So I'm going to make that x2 and y2. That means this one needs to be x1 and y1. So if I start substituting, x minus 6. I prefer to have the x in the front of the bracket because if you think back up to multiplying binomials, it was never 6 minus x. It's always x minus 6. We just order problems in a declining order. So we want our unknowns in the front of the bracket. And then the y2 was 2 minus the y1 was minus 2. Again, can you see those two minuses next to one another? That is where one is going to make a mistake if you did not use this empty bracket method. When you substitute, you use empty brackets. So let's quickly work it out. It is x minus 6 square plus 2 plus 2 is 4 square. Now there's still a square root over it, but I do not like that square root. So you know what I'm going to do? In the previous step already, as soon as possible, like I've done previously, I'm going to put a bracket around each side, one big bracket only on each side, and that means this is going to give me 25, and that square root and that square cancel out one another, so I've got just this left. Now again, you can try the two different methods, or you can do the one where you get the trinomial in the end, where you need a 0 there. This gives me x squared, remember, plus x times minus 6 is minus 6x, but I must double it, so it's minus 12x. Minus 6 times minus 6 is plus 36, plus 16, and that 25 I'm also bringing to this side. So I'm going to get x squared minus 12x plus 27. Don't forget to put your 0 on the one side. I see a trinomial, so I'm going to make my two brackets. 0 on this side. I know it's x and x. Because I've got a plus there now, either both must be pluses or both must be minuses. How do I know? I check this sign here. Because it's a minus, I need two minuses, which is going to give me this plus here. And maybe 9 times 3 is a good guess for 27, because if I minus 9 and I minus 3 again, I also get the minus 12, which I want. Therefore, x is equal to 9 or x is equal to 3. Can you remember in the previous problem, one of the figures was not applicable because it was not like your sketch? Remember, we drew the sketch on our own. We did not actually know where to draw that point D. Do you agree with me there underneath D? I may have the value 9, but maybe D was there. And if I connect there, maybe I do have the value 3. So in this case, I could have both answers. It could either be x is 3 or it could be x is 9. And they said find the missing coordinate. So now I can say the D coordinate. The D coordinate is either 9 and 2 or the D coordinate is 3 and 2. Because in this case, it's possible. They did not tell me where I should go. So any one of those two lines, they're the same length, and there they are. Good. As normal, I'm taking off all of this. You're going to go and redo it on your own, thinking of each step. Then the answers and the figures are not important at all, because you're not going to get the similar sum ever again. Hopefully not. But the method you're using to get to the answer is going to be stay the same forever. Now, after you've gone and done it all on your own, you can see we've done the answer properly. Now, just one thing. We always look at mark allocation for a problem. If a problem, there's a lot of marks allocated to a problem, then you know you need to do something significant. But already, if you've done all of this, you've done a proper problem. If you do want to test your answers, I'm just going to show you on the next 2 pages how you can test an answer if you're not very sure if you're right. Once you've got your x's, you can either go and replace the x3, which we did there, and we can check if we get the same answer, or you can go and check the x9 there. You just fill it back into your original formula and check if you get the same answer, and the minute you've done that, you are very sure. But please don't waste time doing this in a test or exam if there's still lots of problems to be done. First, go and do your whole paper, and if you're done and there's time available, then you can come back and do these last 2 tests, which is really not necessary, especially if you've drawn the sketch. On the sketch, you can clearly see that 9 was possible and that 3 was possible. So most probably that is my answer. So go redo them and good luck. Very easy work. I'm sure you're going to find it as easy. See you next time.